the NAR lawsuit, inflation/CPI, and interest rates. We're going to cover all three in this short and concise video. Hey everyone, I'm Mercedes The Military Realtor. The lawsuit involving the National Association of Realtors, aka the NAR, is about to come to a close, and it definitely has some things that we should talk about. Let's break it down into two easy to understand parts. Number one, how do real estate agents get paid? In places like Colorado and some other states, there's no rule that says how much money real estate agents should make from helping people buy or sell houses. Instead, the person selling the house and the person buying the house can talk to their agents to decide exactly how much they think is fair to pay them. Now, this means everyone can agree on a payment that makes sense for them. Everything is negotiable when it comes to real estate. Even in a contract, you can negotiate. There's always room to negotiate. Why not? So there's no set amount that everyone has to follow. What this means for house prices and being able to afford a home, some folks are wondering if at the end of the lawsuit, this will make homes cheaper. The short answer, no. Home prices depend on how many people want to buy houses and how many homes are available on the market. It's basic supply and demand. Since there aren't enough homes for everyone who wants one, prices are unlikely just to drop because of the lawsuit. However, the total cost of buying a home might change a bit, especially if you work with the agent who doesn't charge as much. But remember, you may get what you pay for. There are currently now discount brokerages that do work for a lot less services, but a lot of times they also put in a lot less hours and work into the deal. When we talk about being able to afford things, it's not just about home prices. It's about thinking, how much money do people actually make? Are things affordable? Sometimes even when companies are making a lot more money, they're not always paying their employees that same margin. So if it's getting harder to afford things, it's worth talking about why people aren't getting paid as much, especially when the cost of living and cost of rent, right, cost of food, cost of transportation all goes up. It all goes up, and that really does hurt on people's wallets. So with the lawsuit almost over, home prices will stay about the same, but how much you pay your agent can change. Now let's talk about inflation and CPI, which greatly affects interest rates. Inflation trends show that February's report has a rise of 3.2 in February from 3.1 in January. That signals an acceleration that's contrary to the Federal Reserve's target of reducing inflation to 2%. Core inflation has a slight improvement, which was noted moving from 3.9 to 3.8, yet it remains significantly above the 2% target. The Federal Reserve's interest rate strategy, let's talk about that. The Fed has anticipated 3 rate cuts within this year, and in some of the reports 4. So, however, the recent inflation data does not suggest that these cuts are likely to commence soon. The probability of a cut at the March 20th meeting, which is right around the corner, is virtually nil, coming in at a 99% chance that rates will stay the same. Now we have the reliability of these predictive tools like the CME Fed Watch tool, and it's recently kind of been under question. I've seen it swing drastically month over month on what it predicts of a rate change. So in January, we had predictions for March that there would be a 76% likelihood of a cut at this meeting, and now right before the meeting we're at 1%. So is the tool really working that well for far out predictions? Now, looking at CPI data, we have energy year over year has decreased by almost 2%. That's pretty good. But in contrary to January's decrease from 4.6. So food prices have rose 2.2 year over year. This suggests that prices are still increasing, but at a slower pace. Great, but still going up. Shelter costs are up 5.7% year over year, still high despite improvements in this number. Services remain significant at 5.2 with little change observed, indicating persistent wage inflation pressures. They really want to see loss of jobs to help put downward pressure on that, sadly. Now let's talk about the economic implications of the Fed's challenges. So the Fed is pretty much between a rock and a hard place. They want to stimulate the economy through interest rate cuts, but we have a booming economy that is managing inflation, which I really don't think so. But we're well above our target of 2%. So we're trying to balance between these two, and we have the upcoming election and market expectations for rate cuts. So with strong labor market figures and persistent inflation, especially in services, the Fed's policy decisions will be critical in the next few months. Overall, the Fed's path forward is really lined up with a lot of challenges because they're damned if they do, they're damned if they don't. So they're trying to manage it without stifling economic growth, which usually is worse, stagflation. The CPI report underscores the delicate balance that they're trying to really stay in equilibrium. But it's a task made more and more critical with the context of our politics and economic expectations. So that's a wrap, folks. If you really enjoyed this, found this helpful, please like and subscribe. And thank you so much for your time.